Hello everyone. Hiya. Lisa here doing the Staying Connected again. Third one in a row, I think. So today our guest, who's very kindly agreed to join us, is Karen Hood from many different organisations, really. That's it, Karen, isn't it? You're a counsellor, yeah, Karen, and you also support...
I'm counsellor for St Anne's Ward in Sunderland.
And you also support various sort of outlet organisations to support people.
Pallion Action Group.
Yeah.
Pallion Action Group.
Can I just ask you to, that was a little introduction from me, can I just ask you to introduce yourself, who you are, like the Pallion Action Group, the other organisations, and just tell us all who you are in your words, please.
So, yes, a lady of very many hats. So first and foremost, I'm a community worker. I've worked in the community for like over 20 odd years now. I'm employed by Pallion Action Group, which is where I started doing my community work. I've also got Parker Trust, which, if anybody knows Sunderland, opposite the Cale Road entrance of Sunderland Royal Hospital. And then last year, because we didn't have enough to do, we decided to take on Cale Road Library, which obviously through austerity was closed, and we really wanted to save that library. And as you've already mentioned, Lisa, for me sins, I'm a local counsellor for St Anne's Ward.
So do you get to sleep anytime, Karen?
Yeah, I've got, do you know what it is, Lisa? I've got a really, really good team. I know I'm probably the one with the mouth that everybody knows and the face of these places, but I have an amazing team behind us.
That's brilliant. I think the way the love, I think you've got a really good respect from your team as well. Just when I've sort of worked with you and stuff like that, I think you're so enthusiastic and passionate about what you do for people. It just sort of obviously comes across in your team as well. Yeah.
I bribe them with cakes as well. So.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of bribery and corruption if there's cake involved, is there? Do you mean? So then, we've all gone through this sort of COVID stuff since March, I think it was, wasn't it? The 23rd, where it was sort of shut down. So I'm just going to ask it on two levels, really. So. Or your many levels, so like on a personal level and then on a more professional level, how you've coped with COVID, whichever one you want to sort of start answering first, or if they're both intermingle,
I think they intermingle, to be truthful. Yeah, I think there's a lot of crossover for a lot of people. We'll start with the professional. So we knew, sorry, somebody's just trying to ring us. How rude. So we sort of knew that COVID was coming about. We'd heard that there was maybe going to be a lockdown, and we tried to prepare for that very shortly before the lockdown actually happened. So what we did was, because we're a community organisations, we do work with a lot of vulnerable people. So we rang local chemists to say, like, if we go into lockdown, how are people going to get the prescriptions? We rang doctors and try to, say, like, this is us, we're here to help. Then obviously the lockdown happened, and to be fair, I think everybody thought it was going to be 6 weeks initially, didn't we? We didn't think we'd be sitting here in October going through exactly the same. So I think for me, at first, it was making sure that our most vulnerable got supported. So we quickly worked with Sunderland City Council and became a community hub. So there was 5 community hubs in Sunderland, looking after the whole of Sunderland. And we were getting referrals from the council, but we were also helping our day-to-day clients. And that, it started off with prescriptions. People couldn't get appointments for shopping slots or home deliveries. I think the pandemic took a lot of people by surprise. So we had a shopping service. Befriending, a lot of isolated people, so we offered befriending. And then I had like an idea that, do you know what, these parents are stuck at home with kids working from home and they'll be demented. So I wanted to make activity packs. So I did a bit of research, and apparently the virus didn't live on paper. So I bought like 100 paper bags, printed off some stuff, bought some stuff, and did activity packs, which at first I was only going to do 40, just for our kids clubs that we have running. Obviously, we couldn't do the kids club. And then we ended up doing about 3,500. So they went out. They went out across the city. Other organisations, we all started to get funding in. Everybody thought it was a good idea, so we all started doing these activity bags. And what was really good, because I think we all worked together, shared our resources, our knowledge. I think for me, the best thing about this pandemic is the fact that the city came together, and it didn't matter if you were the
spirit.
And I've always loved community spirit. I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to make sure that, like, you know, we get back to them old-fashioned values where we're helping each other. Neighbours were knocking on elderly people's doors, asking if they needed any shopping, and I think that came across really well in the pandemic. That people were working together. I think in the voluntary sector, and I will say it, I do think we're always very underrated. About the work we do. And I think this has been highlighted to funders, to the council, to other people, that actually we are quite valuable.
Absolutely.
You know, we need to be supported. And to be honestly, sir, the support we're getting from funders, from the public, from volunteers, from the council has just been phenomenal. We couldn't have done it without everybody.
Brilliant.
All work together.
Yeah, I think that I agree with. Well, I definitely agree with you with the fact that, you know, that community spirit sort of came out, the care, like the old-fashioned days sort of thing. You know, it was like quite resounding. I think, you know, across the country, but like I think Northeast, we're just great at that anyway. You know, to be fair.
Yeah, we are. We are.
And that level of care, and I know that the kids packs that you did. A family member got one for her kid.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. So thank you.
Don't tell us. Yeah, well, we got we're putting things like, we've got big bags of soil, and then we'll put them in little bags in sunflower seeds, and we did cake mixes. And I swear, honestly, we have hundreds and hundreds of pictures of sunflowers. So
I was looking through your Facebook, and I've seen, you've got quite a few.
We've just got quite a few. But I think that was really good, because we were giving the kids an opportunity to grow something, to see it from the beginning of the pandemic, when they got a little seed through, you know, a little bag dropped on the doorstep, and then they send us pictures. It just shows you how long this has been going on, because we've got like 6 foot blooming. They're just like, and then pictures of cakes when they've been making cakes and things like that. I've actually really enjoyed it. I think it's been good.
I think there's been some lovely silver linings. You know,
yeah, definitely.
I'm just going to show some of the pictures of the packs that you pulled together. So this one, it's sort of like a tray full of like little diddy pom-poms and little diddy animals and things. So were these some of the items and feathers and stuff?
I mean,
these are some of the stuff that.
So what happened was, the council put a call out for a platform of volunteers, and I think thousands of people came through, and then we had some volunteers. So it was like a production line, all like safe in the big hall, and everybody was making up. So I bought like loads of feathers and pop, which always seems like a good idea at the time, until like they're all over, and you know, you've got hundreds of them, and everybody had a job. So we had like things like playing cards in them, we had dominoes in them, and everybody had to put each thing in a pack with like a little production line. I could even start a little business, if I'm honest.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, really good. It was good, and it was really nice. And then obviously, once we'd done the activity packs, as you know, I'm very understated and, you know, never over the top. So it was VE Day coming up, and I don't know if anybody. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody.
I'm just, hang on a second. I'm just showing you with your packs in the background. This floor covered with loads and loads of bags.
And each of them bags. So what they did was, obviously, we put a picture on Facebook, and we're like, look at our bags, look how wonderful we are. And then we had hundreds of messages. So behind the scenes, we had to reply to all these messages, find out how many kids they had, get the addresses. Obviously, nobody could come to us, and then we had to get volunteer drivers. So each of them packs were divided into estates, and we had to divide them into estates, and then volunteers would come, pick them up, put them in a car with a list of where they were going, how many kids were in the house, and then that was a job in itself as well. So it was good.
Very good. So you mentioned about the VE Day. So was it the VE Day? Was it the veteran van, the Operation Flanders, that delivered?
Yeah.
These? So I've got that photo of the van. Yeah.
So you know, a couple of years ago, we decided to make a waterfall of poppies in the garden of Parker.
Yeah, that was fabulous.
And then we went out one night before the 100-year celebration and put 5,000 poppies up on gates and everywhere down Pallion. And we got a really good response for that. So we had these plans for the VE Day celebration in May, but we couldn't obviously do it. So I was thinking about how we could do something over the top, make it really memorable. So I teamed up with Flanders, who have got a cafe at Seaham, and it's run by ex-veterans.
Oh, really?
So we got some funding to do them like a hot meal. And then we did up the VE Day packs with, like, you know, the old-fashioned songs in and the old-fashioned recipe cards. And we had, like, Werther's original mince in and humbugs and little crossword books and everything. So they got an activity bag. But on the actual VE Day, we got Flanders to come over and we, same with the activity bag, we all had, like, places to go. And then each person who was of a certain age who had been nominated, and I think there was about 100 and something that we did in this day, they all got a delivery, and the delivery was from, like, an ex-veteran as well.
Yeah, that's what I've got, is a delivery here of somebody receiving the pack, and the veteran stand there with all of his medals on. Fabulous.
Well, we did one, obviously we wanted to get the message out then, we wanted to do something really uplifting, and we had a veteran who was... He just had his 96th birthday, Fred. And so we pulled up with a boombox thing, and we played White Cliffs of Dover, and I'd phoned the fire brigade, and they sent an engine down with the blue lights on and everybody standing. And then he came out and he got his mail and his activity bag, and it was really, like, emotional. We took a video of that.
As luck would have it, Karen.
Oh my God. Don't say you have that video.
I've got the video. I'll play it out for people, and so everybody can see how emotional it was. Just bear with me. So here we go. There'll be love and laughter and peace ever after. Tomorrow, when the world is free, the shepherd will tend his sheep, the valley will bloom again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Tomorrow, just you wait and see. The shepherd will tend his sheep, the valley will bloom again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds Oh, Karen, that was lovely. I don't know whether you saw it again, but it was lovely.
I know, it was so nice, and obviously, so when we posted it, we were still out delivering, and we just put it on so people, you know, knew it was VA Day. And then I was starting to get like likes and things like that. So I was like, going, oh, thank you very much, as you do, you know, when you get a like on Facebook. And then by the night, it went viral. I had messages come in like from Australia, from China, saying like, "Oh my God, I'm doing accents, but obviously it was text messages. Like, we've just seen your video. That's so awesome." And it was really, really good. But what you don't see on the video is after we give him the food, we give him the activity pack. We wanted some photographs of him with them, like, you know, the veterans and the fire service and everything. And then he just turned right to us and said, right, can you all bugger off now so I can have my lunch? Like,
brilliant.
Right, no, but yeah. And then the next day, everybody got sent like a high tea as well. So it sort of ran out for a little bit. And I think that was, so that was May. And we've been doing a bit, but I think that was the point where we just thought, you know what, people just need to be cheered up. We just need to have a little bit of happiness, because I think by then people were getting a little bit down and isolated and things like that. So to me, that was a tonic that like sort of brought it up a little bit.
Yeah. So the high tea, I'm just wondering if this was the high tea. So we've got some grapes and a cake, and is that a pie in there as well? And then there's some jam.
Probably.
Yeah.
I can't see your photo, but that'll probably be in the high tea. That'll be it. And that went out the next day.
Yeah.
So because of, like, I'm not being funny, and everybody who's got like most older people don't have big appetites. So instead of giving them all on one day, we thought if we spread it over 2 days, that also helps them get that little bit more human interaction. Yeah.
So I have actually got another one where we've got some sandwiches, a bit of quiche and a few crisps and a bit of salad. So that must have been the other day as well. Oh, that's lovely. But you're right, the appetites are not as big as ours.
Yeah, we had some really, Lisa, we had some really heartbreaking stories, you know. You talk about, I think a lot of people have been affected with mental health. And we were lucky that we got some funding to help with crisis support. So people who were feeling, you know, maybe suicidal, having things like that, or just being really, really down. And to be fair, it wasn't, in our situation, it wasn't the young ones, it was your older ones who used to go to church groups, who had, you know, over a certain age, who were very, very active. And then they were told like they couldn't go out. They couldn't go to all these social activities that they used to do. And I think as a result of that, as we're going into around 6 months, we put a lot of effort into creating some really small little things that people can come to. So holistic therapies, card making, Christmas things making, you know, so little craft activities that they can come. And we're hoping that we can just alleviate that isolation that people are still feeling.
Yeah. So do you think you'll be able to sort of remain open as centres then?
Yes. I mean, we're very much aware of COVID safety. We've got everything in place. We've had our COVID spray. People get the temperatures. I'm very, very strict on everything. Looking at the new guidelines, which, can I just say on record, they are so confusing. I struggle as a counsellor and I think an educated woman, and I struggle with it. But what we're trying to do is to develop, because we can have educational activities, but we can't have social activities. So we're going to be operational throughout. We've never closed our doors. We've worked, some of our workers were working from home. I didn't furlough anybody. Everybody, and hats off to all my staff and volunteers. They changed their duties, they drove vans, they shopped, they did anything we asked of them. And we will continue to do that as long as it's safe enough to do that. We're getting ready to, go into our winter months where I think it's going to be harder. Looking at how we can support our communities. And we've got a COVID-19 update meeting with staff on Tuesday, where we've got a 3-month plan which we're going to put out, which is the building being operational, but with some restrictions in place. But it's all about, for me, feeling good over the next 3 months. big Halloween event organised. Christmas garden. Yeah, we've got a few surprises.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. I mean, it's always lovely to see Parker Trust all sort of like lit up in sort of decorated, because I love the fact that you just get so into it, you know what I mean? And that's brilliant though.
I think I was once got described as ostentatious, and I actually took it as a compliment. I was like, yeah, I'm over the top. I absolutely love it. I think you know, when you come and pass, if you're at hospital or whatever, Parker Trusting is such a good location. We're starting our Halloween garden from Monday. But we've been Morrison's over Seaburn and Doxford Park are donating 40 pumpkins. They're going to come along. We've got loads of stuff planned for like a pumpkin trail. So people can't go trick or treating. But you know what? Halloween's not cancelled. Christmas is not cancelled, and we'll make sure everybody knows it isn't.
Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So you've mentioned obviously quite a lot, you know, you've had a lot of like funder support because of obviously the importance of what you are doing. And you've also mentioned about, you know, your support that you've had from say like Morrison's and stuff. If somebody wanted to help and support you as an organisation, how could they contribute to you? What would you suggest they do?
So I think going into where we are now, if anybody wants to volunteer, they obviously have to come through the council platform, the volunteer platform now, and they're still able to do that. We're very much on, we're going to do some hampers for our most vulnerable at Christmas. So we're always grateful for any like donations, like Christmas treats, if anybody wanted to do anything like that. And we make up the hampers. I think anybody who wants to offer like a befriending ear, we've got a lot of lonely people out there, and it's always nice to get like somebody who would take like an hour out of the week to just phone up somebody, how you doing? You know, is everything all right? And they can just contact us via Facebook, email addresses. I think we're all over with our contact details. We just like, and on the other hand as well, if anybody needs support or knows anybody who needs support, there's a lot of support out there. So we're quite happy to give support, but also to signpost to like some amazing other community projects across the city.
That's brilliant, Karen. So what about like your boundary of support? Do you have, or is it citywide, or like you've just said, would you then
depends on the funder, Lisa? Depends on the funder.
So a bit more complication.
So no, we do have some restrictions if we're doing some activities for funding reasons. You know, I'm based in the West, so I do a lot of West work, but I have other projects which are citywide. So, you know, if we can't help them, there is like mirror organisations like SNCBC, and you've got Chance Down Hendon, you've got Youth on Mighty, you've got SNP. So you've got all these other Riot Community Centre, you've got all these other really good community centres who are all doing the same type of really good work. So if they weren't in our area, we could signpost them to somebody else.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
But we never, ever take any, never turn anybody away. We're always here.
That's fab. I'm just having a little look at the chat because we've got like, obviously the YouTube chat, and people ask a couple of questions, and just going back to sort of some of the comments that you made earlier about the rules being confusing. Obviously, it's you're obviously quite deeply involved being a councillor, but we've got Gary saying that it's bad. There's like being a bit like Boris has no clue. Gary is saying, but I know it's down to sort of like individual perception of political party, but it is very confusing, quite confusing. And Charlotte is saying it's so true. I was so confused about the new rules, and still is confused because some of it's law and some of it's guidance. I mean,
so it's now. So a couple of weeks ago it was advisory. So we were being advised not to, mix in over groups of 6 households and things like that. But now it's the law. I had, and this is true, I had one of my clients come in last week, and the police had been, because her child was in a group of 7 or 8 of them. And she said, but he goes to school with 30 of them. And they were like, but the law is outside, and it is. And I think it's getting ridiculous. I mean, I've got a personal view, so not for me community, not for me political. I think it should just be one rule. You either wear a mask or you don't. You either mix in households or you're not. You're either in lockdown or you're not. You've got to, we've got to have a little bit of clarity for people. You can go into... The thing about the pubs, you can't mix in households of more, right, but you can sit in a beer garden with them.
Yeah, but you can't with friends.
No.
You can sit in with strangers, but you can't sit with your friends.
And just before this rule came in, I wanted to take all my staff and volunteers out for lunch. So about 2 days before, I was literally looking to book out the whole bottom of somewhere so we could take everybody out and say thank you for all the hard work they've done, because, these guys have never had a break all through COVID. And they went, oh, the rule came in. I was like, I cannot even take you out for lunch. And they were like, can you not say it's a staff meeting? I was like, in a pub. Yeah. And it is really confusing. I feel so sorry for people. Every day, me as an employer, I'm coming in, I'm telling them one thing one day, and then I'm changing it the next day. And I'll keep apologising for it, but it's just I'm with everybody else. I sit and watch the news, I look at the updates, and I'm just like, right. So I need to change all this. Now I need to, get me the groups that come in. We have visually impaired groups. We have an older gentleman's group who's for like computers. You've got to tell them, if that's a social group, if they class themselves as a social group, they're not allowed in. If they're educational, that's fine. If they're teaching something, that's fine. And it's just, there's no clarity. I think people need to be sensible. I think we need to, keep with the hand washing, the masks, everything. I think we need to be respectful of social distancing. But I do think that, there's been big mistakes made, if I'm honest. And I think I'm with everybody else throughout the country. I'm as confused as you all are.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we sort of could guess what was going to happen, Karen, at the beginning, because we could see it coming towards us from Europe anyway. And like you say, you were getting organised ahead of time in March because you could see what was coming. I think there's been a couple of few instances of the ball being dropped along the way. Organisation on a more national level, really.
Yeah, so so when we were going through like the lockdown and everything, I think it might have been the 3rd or 4th week, and obviously Pallion Action Group was still operational, but we were close to the public, we're on lockdown. And then I always remember it was a Sunday and Boris relaxed the rules and said like, oh, you can go out. When I came to work the following Monday, so the day after, it was like the lockdown hadn't happened. People were just, it was a completely different. From that day, when he lifted them, that's when I feel it started to go wrong. I think he lifted it too early. Yeah. And then when we were in work, we were all saying about, I think it was August, and saying about the kids going back to school. And I was like, there's going to be a second wave. There's going to be a second wave. That we actually were planning for the kids not to go back to school in September because we actually thought that it was going to heighten. So we prepared ourselves around that, and then obviously they did go back to school, and then the following week it all kicked off again. So so now we're doing it till Christmas, and that's our plan till Christmas.
Yeah. I think it's just like a tightrope. I certainly wouldn't be a job I'd like to do, to be fair. Regardless of, it's not an enviable job to be in charge at this time. Definitely not.
No, definitely not.
Charlotte's also mentioning the rules about pubs and restaurants closing at 10 is kind of a conflict is trying to avoid to create crowds, but at the same time you're creating crowds when they close onto public transport, etc. So people going home after the pub after sort of 10 o'clock, that if they're getting on the buses and stuff, you're still pushing them together. So
you are, and even the pubs closing at 10, it's because when they collate all the data and they're saying like it's more with families passing it from family members to members, and then it's more later at night when the social distance out the window because people coming out the pubs late and they're drunk and obviously hugging each other or whatever. But really, you just go out earlier.
Well, that's
You know what I mean? You just go out earlier. Like you would, if you were somebody who went out at 8 o'clock, you just go like, oh, I'll go out at 4 instead. Like it's madness. You would just go out earlier, and you'd still be in the same state as you would be if it was 2 o'clock in the morning or 10.
Of course,
I just don't get it.
Yeah, me either. Yeah, definitely not. So, and Gary's saying down where he lives, it's pretty much that it was never in a lockdown, and he still feels that everyone's doing whatever they feel like, regardless of lockdown. I think you've always got an element of society that it will sort of flout the rules. Really, in the common sense.
And I really think that we put a lot of pressure on our small businesses to enforce rules, and where I work, sometimes, the clients that you get in or whatever, it's a little bit more deprived area, and they just flatly refuse to walk in a shop, and wear a mask. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to do the hands or anything. What canny little shopkeeper is going to try and enforce that? And it's so heartbreaking to see because, they don't want to. And I know we're getting people who saying, like, you need to wear a mask and you need to wear a mask, and I'll come on to my personal stuff if you want to later. I'm very much about, if you're coming anywhere near me, you need to have a mask on, because I've got a child who's got an illness, so you need to have a mask on. So I do feel sorry for small businesses who've been forced to enforce that rule. And I also feel so sorry for the hospitality trade, who's actually, they're getting punished again.
Yeah,
they really are.
Absolutely. I mean, Mark and my husband and I tend to go to the same restaurant every Wednesday, same family group and stuff. Lovely restaurant. In August, it was all busy, eat out to help out, great. After such a terrible time, we went Wednesday gone, and I think at one point we were the only 2 people in there,
But Lisa, look at the expense that people went to, these hospitality businesses went to become COVID friendly.
Yeah.
So, they were putting screens up, they were, all this stuff, they've put everything in place. And once again, they're the first people to get punished.
Yes, to get hit, absolutely.
We need to be supporting them, because a lot of these, especially in Sunderland, are independent businesses. They can't afford to have a closure again.
Yeah. And I think we do need to, if you can, go out and support them, go out and support your local community businesses, like your shopkeeper. And, to take offence at sort of having to wash your hands or wear a mask, I just think, well, why? It's not like the Second World War where we had to wear, people had to wear face masks, the big gas masks and things like that. That was uncomfortable, It's just a little sort of barrier that we've got now, it can't be compared really. So
I've got a little 2-year-old now, and she, when we go anywhere, she holds her hands out to get her hands washed.
Yeah.
But it's just part of her life now.
Yeah, definitely. And it will be for some time. I think even to me, when I'm watching stuff on television that's been maybe pre-recorded, like older sort of dramas and stuff, just looking at them being too close, I'm sort of backing away when I'm in the...
I love a bit of social distancing in the supermarket, and you're in this space. I'm like, keep that for after COVID. That's good, yeah.
Brilliant. Yes. Oh, Gary's saying again. So one of our guys, Gary's saying his corner shop where he gets his gas and electricity. It's a minefield, and you've got to dodge people like a minesweeper. So bless them.
Yeah, I'm quite harsh, mate. You don't get in unless you wear a mask and you get your temperature took.
Yeah. I think you're dead right. I think you've got to protect yourselves, and you love what it's not just about you getting it and thinking, oh, you'll be all right. It's about who you're giving it to. I think that's the message that they've tried to get out all of the time, to be fair. And in protecting the ones that are most vulnerable, like people with illnesses, people who are shielded. I know we have some guests in today who had been shielded. I know I've got family members who were shielded as well. And it is about making sure that they are safe. Definitely.
Yeah, well, that'll come quite nicely onto my daughter. So one of the other things I'm really passionate about is obviously COVID's overtook everything. And just before COVID, my daughter, she's got disabilities and learning disabilities, and she's got a genetic disorder. She's just gone 33. So she had been complaining about an aching leg. Just before COVID, took out the doctors, and they were saying, like, we'll give you some painkillers, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, mum's really busy at work, because we've got like a pandemic going on. And she still kept complaining about her leg, but she was able to walk and, do things. And I was like, it's muscle damage, or it's this, or it's because of COVID. You're not going out, you're getting no exercise. And I kept phoning the doctors, but because obviously we were in a pandemic, they could only do appointments over the phone. So all she was saying was her leg was aching. And then she's getting more painkillers, different painkillers, anti-inflammatories. And I will be really honest with anybody who's listening or says this, she got on my nerves that much about it. I took her to the walk-in centre. And when I took her to the walk-in centre, she said about her aching leg and then a little spot that she had somewhere, which I won't say. Anyway, she got a 2-week emergency referral to the hospital. She went to the walk-in on the Thursday. She was in the hospital on the Monday, and she had a biopsy the following week. And they said, it's fine, it's nothing, whatever. Anyway, they called us in a few days later, and she was diagnosed with a really rare cancer. So this was, the guilt kicked in and everything. And I think a message, and obviously, we had COVID when we were getting treatment, and things like that. She ended up going into hospital, and we just got the news yesterday, the day before, that they've managed through surgery to get all the cancer out. So, silver linings again.
Yeah.
But I think that really highlighted a couple of things for us. I'll be really honest, antidepressants and bottles of wine got me through the last couple of months, because it was so hard to think about. We had COVID, we had the cancer thing going on. But then I also thought about the fact that I just kept fobbing it off as an aching leg. And then I was thinking about all these people who don't want to bother the NHS, and they might have symptoms for something. And we're really lucky that Tony's was obviously found really early, and things like that. But, I think we've got to give a message out to people as well. Like, if you're poorly, if you don't feel 100%, if you think there's something wrong, and my daughter kept saying to us, I just don't feel right. Mum, I just don't feel right. And I was like, we cannot bother the NHS with like something like this. It'll be nothing. So I think as well, I would also try and get a message out to everybody to say, still push for your appointments. Still push for them, because obviously, there's I'm over the moon that, we're not overrun with the NHS and accident emergency with, people falling down drunk and smashing their faces. But on the other hand, I would hate to see people not going to doctors or not getting the right treatment, like I did with my daughter, because they don't want to bother the NHS as well.
Yeah, it's sort of like a fine line, I think, as well. Yeah. And I think, obviously, as a mother myself, not having been in your situation at all, but you carry guilt anyway as a mother, for everything. So,
Lisa, I'm skint. I'm absolutely skint. That child got everything she wanted. I couldn't breathe. I was crying that much. I was back, but she was really good, because obviously I've said she's got disabilities, so people going, Tony, is there anything you need? And she was like, I'd quite like a PlayStation 4 game. So they were going like buying it. I was like, no, Tony, people's not really asking you if you want something. She went, but they are asking us. I was like, no. You've just got to say, I'm fine. No, thank you. But yes, she ended up, she's got like all the latest PlayStation games, DVDs, everything. So
you need an extension to keep them all in.
God, yeah.
That's I mean, it's brilliant, the fact that she was seen to so swiftly and they've eradicated it. That's the main thing.
Honestly, I was so lucky that we were coming down a little bit because it was July. So they were relaxing it a little bit. So that's when she went. And then she had an operation just before we went back down into lockdown. So I'm always a positive person anyway, and think everything happens for a reason. And I just thank my stars. She's been so lucky to be seen to in a very timely fashion, and have an operation as well. So
and that you were there, you were able to be there with her as well to support her.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, I can't. I mean, she went to the Queen Elizabeth, and I'm doing Stoptober now. It's a Sober October. So I'm doing Sober October to give me liver a rest, but also to the money I just want to get, like what I would have maybe spent on nights out and things like that. I just want to buy some treats for the Queen Elizabeth ward that she was on, because when I think it was the third day after surgery, they were able to wash her hair. So they washed her hair and blow dried it and straightened it and everything, and pampered her a little bit. And I thought, and lip balms and things like that. So I thought, I'm gonna donate something back, because honestly they were amazing. I think all key workers right through whole of COVID has been amazing, but on a personal level, the Queen Elizabeth on the Ward 21 were just outstanding for me. So
yeah, that's fantastic. To knowing that you can get that support, and I think as well we are lucky in the where we live in the country as well. I know we there's a high population, but it's not as densely populated. So as other parts of the country, so that we can access services maybe a little bit more easily. So we are lucky, I think, with that.
I think we're lucky to have the NHS full stop.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? I think if there was ever a time that the government should look and say, this is like such a valuable service, we really need to be supporting them. They need to be paying the right rate of pay. We need to actually support our NHS. And I think if nobody realises this after the last 6 months, then they shouldn't be running the country, to be fair.
Yeah, totally on the same page. I'm just going to go back to the chat. Gary's saying that's really good, positive news, and really glad that they got it all. And he had been putting himself off from going to the doctors for a while, and then because of like blood pressure in his feet, and because of not going out as much. So you've definitely got to look after yourself, and you've got to ring, and you've got to push yourself to go.
I think a few things happened. Like obviously, I've got workers as well and volunteers, and I think it's been really important for me to support them as well. So I've got workers who've got young children that the schools weren't open; they've had to work from home, and they're like, "I've got a 2-year-old running about," and you're like, "Do you know what? Like, it is what it is. If your child's screaming in the background when we're on a Zoom meeting, absolutely fine. It happens on the news with newsreaders all the time, and political correspondence. It can happen in Pally Action Group as well.
Absolutely.
So I've really tried to make sure that all my workers haven't had that added stress of worrying about their jobs, about their hours. Obviously we've expected them, because not being furloughed, to do a job, but no, we've been quite easy on them when they've had
putting strict sort of measures on when people are trying to sort of juggle everything and balance everything is just not going to, it's not good management at all, is it?
It goes back to the thing about, like, get back to work, but your grandparents can't watch your kids. But a lot of grandparents, if you go to the schoolyard, a lot of the grandparents, I pick up my grandchildren for my daughter, you pick up your grandkids, and there's a lot of grandparents at the gate. So I'm glad he did an absolute U-turn on that, because I thought that was ridiculous. But now we're in a situation where the grandkids can be picked up by the grandparents, but you still can't socialise with them.
Yeah.
So you know what, right? I'm just glad I don't talk to any of my family. I do. I love them all.
I'm sure.
I love you all.
Well, Karen, I know you've obviously talked a lot about your workforce and your volunteers. I did have a video downloaded too, which if I'll get it up, where it was right. where we can sort of show some of, I think this is your volunteers in a little video that I found on Facebook. So I'll just play this.
Hi, I'm Deb, a volunteer for Palliant Action Group. I have suffered in the past with mental health problems and still suffer a little bit, but volunteering during the COVID-19 has been absolutely amazing. It's brought me out of my shell. I've met some amazing people. I feel more confident in myself, and it's just been absolutely fantastic helping everybody over the community during this crisis.
Hi, my name's Laura. I'm a business owner in Solent City Centre. COVID-19 affected my business, so since then we had to close. From then, we have been volunteering for Palliant Action Group, and we've met a lot of amazing people. We've been helping loads of vulnerable people, doing activity packs, shopping.
Well, I'm Anne. The best thing I've ever done after COVID-19, volunteering, making loads of friends and friends for life. Thank you.
The highlights of volunteering during the COVID-19 has been went to an old lady's, obviously social distancing, and sang happy birthday to her. Our family all lived down south, and it was absolutely fantastic. And then on VE Day we went to a gentleman's house and presented him with various VE Day memory things for him, and that was absolutely fantastic. It went on Palliant Action Group's Facebook, and there was millions and millions of views all around the world. The fantastic work, not just we do, what all volunteers do, and everybody that's really worked hard over the COVID-19.
Oh yeah, so we've been doing prescriptions, we've been also ringing people up, making sure the days are okay, how the weeks are getting by. Also, we've just been doing loads and loads to help everybody in the community, bringing everybody together at a desperate time like this.
After all this COVID-19's over with, after the lockdown's over with, it was brilliant to meet some of the people that we've helped. Maybe have a little tea party together. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I feel so proud to be part of Palliant Action Group, to actually go out and help people. And like I say, it's really brought me out of my shell.
So I've never did volunteering before, but it would be definitely something I would do in the foreseeable future. I've met amazing people here, and I would hopefully definitely want to keep in touch with them all and wish them all the best in the luck in the future.
There you go, Karen. I've just played you the video with all the volunteers and sort of talking about how much they got out of volunteering. And I think it was Sue that mentioned how it sort of really helped our confidence and really brought her out of our shell. And I think that's really, really important that we come across, people in sort of similar circumstances where they've maybe had mental health problems or they lack confidence and self-esteem, and getting them to peer support, getting them to volunteer, getting them to you just get so much out of it, so I think that's great, and I think that the nice little thing at the end of when it's all over, let's have a tea party together with some of the people that they've supported.
Yeah,
that sounded lovely.
I think it's really important that people feel valued. It doesn't matter what they're doing. I think we should value everyone and whatever contribution they give, even if they need something, even if, we get a lot of people going like, oh, thank you so much for helping us. And we would not be here really doing a job if there wasn't anybody who needed support. So, we're lucky that we always value everybody who walks through the door, who picks up the phone or anything. I just think it's massively important, especially at this moment, to help people through the mental health as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what, we've all been there, whether we admit it or not.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Definitely.
Yes, definitely. And it's good to support, and it's good to be needed as well. Isn't it?
And I don't think I can honestly say I don't think the city itself could have survived this COVID and got through as much and supported as much as they did without people working together, volunteering, community, voluntary sectors, statutory sectors. Everybody I feel stepped up to the mark and offered something, and all those. The NHS got that clap every Thursday, but we clapped for everybody who was out there. Everybody who was out there, because people were still emptying bins, people were still, with local greengrocers were delivering food and things like that. We had our food banks who were helping and supporting, our benefits people who were helping and supporting. We've got people who's coming up to the end of furlough. We're going to have a high unemployment rate. So I just think it's really important that we recognise that everybody has contributed in some way positively.
Absolutely. Talking about how you support that you can give to people, especially sort of with job searches and things like that. I'm just going to show the screen. So I'm showing the screen for people who were self-isolating and maybe will do again, about how they can be contacted, and how they can be supported by the volunteers, which is shopping mail, picking up mail, prescriptions, welfare benefit and debt advice, books, including talking books as well, because having like that library service as well, it's really useful for people to be able to access stuff. And I know you've taken over Kale Road Library, but I've seen when you're in Parker Trust too, you've got like loads of like books and maybe games as well, where people can use that as a library service too.
Jigsaws was a really good one, because people like jigsaws and adult colouring books and things like that.
Yeah, like that mindful activity.
I literally used to go to the range and just clear the shelves. And used to go to Poundland, and were like, you can only get 10 of them. And I was like, I work for a charity and I'm doing like all these like well-being bags and everything. So I used to have to, dominoes and, playing cards and stuff like that. Just to think of things that people could do, because I can just imagine I was absolutely stored off and still am right from March. But I can just imagine what it would be like if you was just sitting in the house and you just couldn't go out. I can only imagine.
I think
really bad.
I think planning those like activities as well, and like getting that, I think have it so that you've got a little bit of control is important as well. To think, well, I'll do this then, and I'll do that then, But as you've said, obviously there's going to be a bit of a rise in unemployment going forward. Because of people not being able to have or not having viable jobs. So you've got Pallion Action Group. The numbers on here as well. I'm just going 5142011 for help, for support with people looking for work in the area.
Well, we've just been working with Dear Apprenticeships, and we've just run like a PD, which is a personal development for employability level 2. We've only done small numbers, and it's over 10 days, and we've just finished one today. And she literally got a phone call, and she starts work on Monday because she did an interview. So on one of our days, the lesson plans went out the window. We were like, everybody's helping Sue doing interview techniques and giving us scenarios.
Brilliant.
And can I just say as well, it was her 60th birthday on Tuesday.
Fantastic.
So when she came,
she'd done an
she'd been made. Well, no, she'd been made redundant. So obviously that's why she came, because she'd been made redundant. And then she we said about the PDA course, if she wanted to do a confidence, give her CV, because she'd worked a long time in the same place. Which she did. And then she was like, to my age, I'm going to be 60 and blah, blah, blah. And that's a really positive
Confidence.
message as well to nearly end on, because
Yes.
she was 60 years old. She was 59. She got made redundant right in the middle of COVID. She was like, I'm never going to get a job. This is it, blah, blah, blah. But she came, we helped her. You know, we didn't do the interview for her. She won there herself. She got there herself.
Yeah.
But she starts work on Monday, so
Fantastic.
virtual hug. So we're all doing a virtual hug today.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Right, so I'm going to. I'm just popping up the the Sun and West Advice Project, the number and where, like, how people can get help with PIP, Universal Credit, any debt or anything like that, and it's got your address on as well, 5 East Middle Road. If anybody
and
needs
obviously
to
people
get
who were
in touch.
self-employed, you know, that new fund that came out for self-employed and everything, so people are claiming it. We've got a lot of services in Sunderland, you know, people with for food banks and things like that. The support that we've put out throughout the city, anybody who was pre-COVID on universal credit, so they were already not working, they already had the benefits and everything. If I'm perfectly honest, and this might be a bit controversial, they wouldn't have been affected by, you know, apart from the actual lockdown, the loneliness, financially, they wouldn't have been affected because everything was the status quo. But for people who were on 0-hour contracts, people who've had hours reduced, people who were furloughed, who were only getting 80%, people who've now been made redundant, these are the people that we need to be there to support with. And you know, and there'd be anything. So they might need advice. Are they entitled to free school meals now? Can they get an increase in universal credit? So these are the type of people who they need to knock on our door, ring our phone, and just say, right, am I getting everything I'm entitled to? We had one guy in this week, and he didn't know for 6 months he could claim like the job seekers allowance thing that came for him because he'd worked all the time. And it was £74 a week, but he didn't know he was entitled to it. So, you know, everybody's different. I'm not saying everybody's going to get 74 quid a week or everybody's entitled to universal credit or free school meals. But our professional advisors will give you that first tier welfare rights service, and they will do a full benefit check, and we can do that on the telephone with you.
Right. So is that the number 2930 on the end, Karen?
Yeah.
So I'll just pop this
2930.
I'll just pop that in the chat. I'll type it. I'll not make spelling mistakes. I'll try not to. So it's 0191 514 2930. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other number is 5142011. What's that one for?
That's just for our main switchboard. If anybody needs that financial advice, that directly goes. They're all based in Ballynaxary, but that'll directly go to the workers. They can also send messages through our website. There's a inquiry form there. They can also, you know, send us messages via Facebook. They can send us messages like whichever way they want, as long as they contact us.
Yes. Yeah, lovely. Well, Karen, honestly, it's been brilliant. I love your passion. I love how supportive you are to the community, to your staff, to your volunteers. And, you know, thanks so much for coming on.
You're welcome. I can't wait for, honestly, I am hoping that I'll put a big smile on people's faces.
Oh, definitely.
It's Halloween and Christmas, because I have like something really good planned.
Brilliant. And also thanks, considering you've shared such a personal story and shown people to look for the positives in sort of some, like, you know, pretty dire circumstances.
Yeah, it is. I think we need to get a message to people. Yes, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Yes, we've had like the worst 2020 ever. I mean, like, I want a refund on my diary. Like, I don't even want to go and buy my staff's diary for 21, just in case. Like, we have, like, it keeps dragging on. Like, you know, I've got all these blank pages. I might just, like, tip extra dates out.
I know.
But really, we need to look at the positives. You know, we're a lot more community orientated. We've actually learnt to self-help as well.
Yeah.
You know, people have learnt to self-help. I think it's raised awareness of the pressure that NHS is under, and you know, and I think I would honestly say I've literally seen the good and the bad in people.
Yeah.
And, you know, the ones who've like stepped up to the mark and the ones who've been there and did things. And these are the people I will support forever. And then the ones who's just went, oh, well, we're in the pandemic. I'll just sit in the garden with a can of lager. Like, you know.
Yeah.
You know, mate.
Good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Right then, Karen, what we always do at the end of these shows is we consider you talking about self-help as well. We put some numbers up for people to access support for mental health services, domestic violence issues and stuff like that. So some valuable numbers up there. So I'm going to just pop them up now, and I'm just going to say thank you very much. And
you're very much welcome.
And Charlotte is leaving us with this year has been a reality show.
Yeah, it really has.
Definitely.
Stay safe.
Stay safe, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Karen.
You're welcome, Lisa. Take care.
You
Bye.
too. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.